Gentlemen, welcome to this video introducing the Fit20 franchise to the interested audience of the Franchise Expo in Frankfurt. I'd like to briefly introduce you, Raymond as the most recent investor in the Fit20 USA organization. Most welcome, Raymond, to help us understand the opportunity in the United States and learn from you why you have decided and how you have decided to join us over in the United States. And of course, the CEO and founder, Walter Vendel, is going to speak about where you got your idea from, give us a feel for where it's coming from, and more importantly, Walter, where it's going to, learn about your ambition and your expectations. So maybe start there then, Walter, to help us understand what is Fit20, where it's coming from.
Okay, well, first of all, very good that you organized this ad. Very nice to be able to speak about it. So where Fit20 came from is a very simple idea, which is that you could get fit in 20 minutes a week. And of course, when I first heard that, it blew my mind. And of course, like many people, I thought, no way, that's not possible. But even though I'm skeptic, I'm fortunately also curious. So I decided to check it out for myself. And ever since, I've proven not only in my own body, but seeing by now in more than 18,000 people on a weekly basis, that this is a way to significantly increase your health and happiness.
Right. Great. And eventually you, of course, you've developed the idea into an initial model, but at some point you decided to choose for the franchise model as a distribution or an expansion method.
Yes.
Why was that, Walter?
Yes. So way at the beginning, I thought there's basically two ways to choose how to grow our business because I saw a huge worldwide potential for Fit20. Because many people are busy, many people don't find the time to consistently work in a very achievable, doable way to improve their levels of health and fitness. So when I started to think of how to scale this up, there's actually only two possibilities. One is to start your own studios, which you run yourself, or you look for franchising, which means a joint investment, joint responsibilities, and you don't work with managers, but you work with local entrepreneurs who are keen and ambitious to not just get their first studio off the ground, but then grow beyond that. And I think with that growth mindset, great things are possible for Fit20.
Good to hear, Walter. And meanwhile, you have about 150 studios worldwide.
Yeah, we just hit this week 130 in the Netherlands, which is, of course, in a way where it all began, and 32 now abroad.
Okay.
Under the 8 countries where we're operating outside of the Netherlands.
Okay, yeah. Raymond, that's, Walter is speaking about 10 years ago where it all started up to now, but you're a bit, let's say, new to Fit20, relatively new to Fit20. You actually invested in the Fit20 USA company. Of course, you had your own reasons, and maybe you could tell us a bit about how you met Fit20 and how you made a decision to actually invest in the company and engage it in a certain way, because you're now advising us how to grow the Fit20 position in the United States.
Absolutely, I'd love to. First, I'd like to start by saying thank you for having me out today. It's a pleasure to be on the call with the two of you. So I got into the world of business not even a decade ago. I spent the first 7.5 years of my life as an adult in the military, and unfortunately was wounded critically towards the end of that career, and it ended my career. So I didn't really know what I was going to do, right? And then I was approached by a friend from the military and asked if I'd invest in his startup company and help him run it. And it grew exponentially year over year until I was bought out with over 2,000% return on investment. So that was kind of my thrust into the world of business. And since then, I have graduated at the top of my class with a degree in entrepreneurship and innovation management, and have since began consulting on growth strategies, organizational structure, leadership, and investing in other entrepreneurial endeavors. However, I was lucky because my very first college class I took with one of the world's leading experts in franchising, Dr. Ben Latalian, who is now also the Chief Development Officer of Fit20 USA. I'm very happy to say both of those statements. So recently, late 2019, Ben Latalian reached out to me and introduced me to the Fit20 concept. And the timing couldn't have been more perfect because in all of my studies of business, two trends are very clear that are emerging in the world. One, obviously, as everyone knows, the baby boomer generation is creating an aging population. And then the other is that many economies throughout the world are moving into service economies. Well, the beauty of Fit20 and what Walter has started here is that while it can help anyone, it is in fact a service that caters to the aging population. And so it hits those two trends perfectly, and I was hooked. So once I was told about Fit20, I knew I had to learn more.
Good. What I've learned from the United States or from the American marketplace, in comparison to other international markets like Germany, to take that as an example, but also countries like the UK and even Holland. In the US, there is the presence of area developers or multi-unit developers. That's what I learned. It's a huge market component to the franchising idea. Could you say something about that, Raymond?
Sure, absolutely. So in the US, we have two models that we are using for growth in the franchising model. We have the studio model that someone can purchase, and then we also have the regional developer model. The regional developer model is, if you look at franchising, you have the global franchisor, which is Walter, and you add, and then you have the master franchise agreements, which is like a country level franchisee. Below that, because the US is such a large economy geographically and just sheer numbers, right? We find that it is better to break it down even more. So we have decided to take the US and break it into regions. And those regions can be negotiated based on the level of experience and capital that can be invested by the regional developer. And it can be anything as small as a city all the way up to an entire state. And it depends on the capabilities of the regional developer. And then below the regional developer is the studio franchisee, the studio operator, and they would purchase their franchise from the regional developer. So it's really just tiering the levels from global all the way down to the most local state possible to ensure that everyone is getting the level of support that they need and no one gets lost at any point. And that's really what it comes down to, is making sure that everyone has everything they need to be successful.
Right. That's a bit of a different situation when you started, Walter, wasn't it? At the beginning, it was one studio and after the other, and it's your, hands-on experience. It's circumstance. Just to not get carried away by the American vastness of the opportunity, there is some, legwork to do, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. So the Americans think big, but you still act local. But so we started thinking small, and I had a large vision quite soon, and a BHAG, of growing into serving 1 million people every week. This is still our BHAG where we want to grow towards. But we started with people signed on as single franchise owners, and also in Germany that will be for quite a number of people a very good way to grow. But you may find out after 3 years that you run a studio that actually you've developed talents and capacities that go beyond just running one studio. And then you come to a natural organic growth point where you could, start a second one or a third one.
Yeah.
And the limit is actually decided by the limit of your ambition and what you want to accomplish. But so I do see also for Germany as a large market in Europe, the possibility also for regional franchise owners. But it will be a mix of single franchise owners and multi-franchise owners, I guess.
Yes, because if you start up in a new country, I guess your thoughts cast back to when you started back in Holland, where you had to do multiple things at the same time, where you had to develop the formula, develop the market, create opportunities for the participants or the franchisees that you've engaged. whilst thinking ahead of your strategic direction you wanted to follow, which ultimately was going international, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right. And I think by where the formula is now, like for in Germany, our master in Germany can offer to any starting franchise owner operational excellence. So there are so many systems and processes embedded in the Fit20 brand that they can just turn those into use, which will allow them to fast track into the growth of their business. So a studio can grow much faster now than it could at the beginning.
Yeah.
So we're at a different point, and it's still determined by the drive of the franchise owner who's running the studio. How many hours are they prepared to work? Yeah.
That brings me to probably a mix, Raymond. Maybe your thoughts here that that there may be let's say a great opportunity offered or available that is money-wise hard to refuse, but if it's if the content or the condition of that opportunity, that business opportunity, doesn't speak to your heart, doesn't motivate you, how would you then consider making a balanced choice? I think I'm referring to why you have picked Fit20, not just because of the, let's say, the business opportunity in itself, but what it represents.
Sure, absolutely. We could really unpack that question for an hour. I'd like to start. I'd like to start by saying, we've up until this point talked about the franchise model and the money, and a simple spreadsheet can show that this is an incredible investment, right? But this specifically, Fit20, has so many intangibles that you just have to speak to from the heart, right? And like I said, my previous profession was that of a soldier. I was very fit all the time, very confident in everything that I did. And then unfortunately, after I was wounded, I became out of shape and I lost my career and kind of lost my purpose in life. Well, finding that purpose came from business, and finding that through job creation and being able to give back to the community, business is where I should be, right? Well, that's the beauty of this Fit20, is that it allows you to give back to your community as a franchisee. It allows you to create money. It allows you to create jobs. And the best part is Walter said it best, you're only limited by your own ambition. So if this is something that you're passionate about, I mean, you can go from a single studio franchisee all the way to a regional developer. And to be honest with you, if you work hard enough, we'll probably even bring you in at the master franchise levels, Germany, USA, France. I'm confident of that. Please work hard and we'll be right there with you. But only being limited by your own ambition. I mean, the beauty of Fit20 is that, yeah, we're all here to make money. I know that. That's why everyone's at this franchising expo. But we're not just doing that. I'm not just selling you a candy bar or cutting your grass. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm not just selling you a service. I'm selling you a lifestyle, right? We are selling you a lifestyle that makes you healthier, live a better life, helps you feel younger, helps you enjoy more time with your grandkids, helps you with mental health. Personally, I can attest to that. We are selling so many intangible things other than just money that it really makes the passion an easy sell, because, well, frankly, because I'm so passionate about Fit20. Thank you, by the way, Walter. So yeah, I really think that, again, I could talk about this for an hour, but a lot of it comes down to the passion of helping other people, and this is a business that allows you to do that.
Yeah. What it tells me, Raymond, is that the choices that you had to make as a result of your critically getting wounded at the end of your military career had an abrupt character, where I can imagine that people, from another perspective, that may check out the franchise expo in Frankfurt for reasons of looking for an opportunity as a result of, let's say, a process that's been part of their thinking for the last number of years, that they may have a job that is not satisfactory anymore, that they may look for different angles, maybe a different way or purpose of life where they would be looking for an opportunity. How would you, maybe that's a question for Walter, how would you say, maybe there is a kind of a frame of thinking or a checklist that people may want to apply to finally make up their mind. What are they looking for and how do they choose?
Yes. But I think there's not one reason. I think there are multiple reasons possible. But what I find always is that the strongest thing is that it needs to be a positive choice to choose for Fit20. So I think what Raymond was just saying is that we run our service business by helping people improve the quality of their lives in a very tangible way. People feel better. People have fewer pains of their backs. They can do more. So life becomes more enjoyable and more productive. So if a franchise owner sees this as an opportunity and it's a positive choice to want to start this as their own business, that's always a better motivation than doing it, for instance, because you need something because you just lost your job because of the current economy. So that negative has to translate into a positive, I think, before someone chooses for anything. Because a negative choice is a reaction towards something, but it needs to be a positive towards your future of saying, wow, this allows me to do something I always somewhere vaguely in the back of my mind dreamed about, hoped for, thought I was going to do one day, and here it is. And now I'm going to step into it. And for many people that feels like, thrilling, exciting, and a little bit scary. If you come from a job where you've had your salary and everything is arranged. And I can remember one of my first franchise candidates asked me, how is it with the holiday days arranged when you start your own company? When you get paid for those, So yeah, you have to arrive at planet Earth. When you become an entrepreneur, you really start with your feet in the mud and then you work your way up.
Right.
Absolutely. The beauty of what Walter said, though, is I'd just like to kind of add to that just a little bit is, you're saying you have to go into it with a positive mindset. And I think the beauty of the franchise model is the person with that in the back of their head that says, I know I want to do good in the world. I just don't quite know how or how to get started. That's the perfect point of the franchise business model, because Walter and Odd, you both have eliminated many of the risks. You already have an identified brand, you have strategies and processes and systems in place. So the person with the ambition and the drive can come in. And don't get me wrong, this doesn't eliminate all risk, but it mitigates many risks. And essentially, we have the ability to teach and coach and help prepare you for success from step one all the way to, whenever you're working with us at the master franchise level. So seriously, it's all on ambition, and we're here to help you succeed.
Yeah.
Great. Well, very interesting, gentlemen. We're coming to the end of this session. I want to thank you very much for your contribution and your insights and your enthusiasm explaining about the Fit20 franchise opportunity. We are international. We are in the United States. Thanks to Raymond, we are pushing ahead and developing the market. Walter is developing the formula as we move forward. And I'm sure it's going to be following the B hack Walter mentioned to serve 1 million customers in the future. It's going to make us look for opportunity and make us look for the right candidates. So if after watching this video, you would like to have a little more information and you want to speak to us live or someone else of the Fit20 organization, you make sure that you get in touch with the Fit20 head office. I want to leave it here, gentlemen. Any last words from you to maybe the watcher? Final encouragement?
Well, just a practical thing, Ed, I would say for the website addresses you may want to refer people to.
Yes, that's going to be posted at the end of this.
Oh, excellent, excellent. I'm a practical guy.
Yes, I understand. I got the point. It's been thought of. Yes. Yeah.
Gentlemen, I'd just like to say it's a pleasure working with you as always. And to our viewers watching, I want to say thank you for taking the time to listen to us. And I truly look forward to hearing from all of you in the near future. Please reach out at any time.
Yes.
Thank you.